Amidst the resurgence of the epidemic, Beijing requires one security guard for every 20 hospital beds. Chinese real estate firms facing a thunderstorm trend, accelerating domino effect. Exclusive, Chinese journalist drops another bombshell, Xi Jinping is brewing a horrible plan. American experts, CCP's Megalomania attempts to rewrite the Bible to replace God. It's all covered in today's China Truths. Amidst the resurgence of the epidemic, Beijing requires one security guard for every 20 hospital beds. Amidst the recent surge in virus outbreaks in China, including new coronavirus, monkeypox, dengue fever, and conjunctivitis, Beijing authorities have issued a notable regulation. According to Xinhua news agency, these regulations are referred to as the Hospital Security Standards, abbreviated as standards. They mandate that hospitals must have one security guard for every 20 hospital beds and allow hospitals to increase the number of security personnel based on their specific requirements. These standards are scheduled to take effect on October 1st this year. Regarding the role security guards play in the daily work of hospitals, the Beijing Municipal Public Security Bureau's Security Division emphasizes the need to establish security service standards for hospitals due to recent incidents of violence against medical personnel, which often occur suddenly and covertly. These standards aim to improve the professionalism and standardization of hospital security services by setting requirements for security service companies and personnel. Notably, Xinhua also reported that Beijing has more than 600 security service companies, with nearly 300,000 registered security personnel. Approximately 30,000 security personnel are engaged in safety and security work within hospitals. This information has garnered significant attention from the mainland public. Some members of the public have raised questions, such as whether patients in hospital beds, who are already unwell, would require a security guard for every 20 beds. They suspect that this could be an official preparation for epidemic control in advance. Due to the Chinese Communist Party's history of concealment and deception, the actual scale of the current coronavirus epidemic's progression in China remains elusive to the world. Third bout infection surge, symptoms resemble swallowing razor blades, antiviral meds suspected to trigger virus mutation. As we've reported previously, hospitals in various parts of China have recently been overwhelmed, with doctors stating that the majority of patients are infected with the novel coronavirus and the so-called influenza A. In addition to this, various diseases such as mycoplasma pneumonia and pharyngitis are also spreading. Many patients describe symptoms like swallowing razor blades, similar to last year's COVID-19 infection. Dr. Li, director of the Respiratory and Critical Care Medicine Department at the Jingmen Hospital of Traditional Chinese Medicine in Hubei, said that many infectious disease experts have indicated that 70% to 80% of this wave of pharyngitis is caused by viral infections. On Monday, September 25, research published in the scientific journal Nature revealed that Merck, a leading global pharmaceutical company, could cause mutations in the novel coronavirus with its oral antiviral drug, molnupiravir. Researchers found an increase in virus mutations after many countries introduced this drug in 2022. The mutation characteristics in these events closely matched those observed in clinical trials of molnupiravir. Researchers also identified a small group of mutations suggesting that it could spread to others. Although there is currently no evidence that molnupiravir promotes the emergence of more transmissible or severe new variants, scientists believe that these mutations increase the genetic diversity of the virus in the wild, providing more possibilities for its future changes. Chinese real estate firms facing a thunderstorm trend, accelerating domino effect. On September 28, Evergrande announced on the Hong Kong Stock Exchange that Su Jiayin had been subjected to mandatory legal measures due to suspected illegal activities. Against the backdrop of Chinese real estate companies constantly exploding into a trend of debt crises, some comments suggest that this indicates an acceleration in the speed of China's economic collapse, akin to a domino effect. As previously reported, Su Tenghe, the second son of Su Jiayin, Pan Darong, former CFO of Evergrande, and Li Taoxin, former chairman of Evergrande Property Group, have all been detained by Chinese Communist authorities. 3 Evergrande companies listed on the Hong Kong Stock Exchange have been collectively suspended from trading. The likelihood of the Chinese government allowing Evergrande to go bankrupt is very high. According to Mr. Xie Tian, a professor from the Aiken School of Business at the University of South Carolina in the United States, the Communist Party of China, CCP, originally intended to exert pressure on Su Jiayin, initially by restricting his departure and aiming to recover the money. However, it now seems that they may have extracted nearly all of it. To resolve the issue, it suggests that Evergrande will face complete collapse, and bankruptcy liquidation is likely imminent. The CCP's goal is to reach a settlement to ensure that major problems do not linger and negatively impact public confidence. Meanwhile, according to reports from multiple mainland media sources, Jinan Qingfa Group's Asset Operation and Management Company, Limited issued a bidding announcement at the beginning of this month, inviting bids for housing sales agency services. The company plans to sell a total of 1,341 houses, with a combined area of approximately 166,000 square meters. Based on the average listing price in September, the total value is estimated to be around 2.835 billion yuan. Qingfa Group is a first-class state-owned enterprise, and the properties involved were primarily sold out around 2020, with some units already having been sold. However, the sudden appearance of numerous listings has raised questions among the public. In mid-July, another state-owned platform in Jinan, Jinan Urban Investment Group Company, Limited, began selling thousands of houses in the Dongqing Yijia and Shijiang Huafu residential areas. These 2 communities are well known as civil servant communities in Jinan. Previously, housing transactions in these communities were not publicly disclosed. According to insiders, there are 4,000 properties available in Dongqing Yijia alone. Apart from Jinan, the Chaoyang District Housing and Construction Commission of Beijing has over 400 housing units in China Railway Construction International City. Additionally, numerous properties owned by other official institutions and state-owned enterprises in the community will also be listed for sale in the future. The official institutions of the CCP and state-owned enterprises are competing to sell properties, which is seen as a sign of the financial crisis faced by local governments. Some people suspect that this may signal that Chinese Communist authorities are prepared to let housing prices collapse. Xie Tian commented on this situation. The CCP has always attached great importance to the real estate industry, which, as one of the pillars of GDP, contributes at least 30% to the Chinese economy. Therefore, on one hand, the CCP needs to boost GDP and production so that its elites can profit from it. On the other hand, it needs to create a facade of economic prosperity to attract foreign investment. This is why it values real estate enterprises, even in cases of extreme oversupply, and still works to maintain housing prices. In reality, they are protecting their own interests. Furthermore, nearly a month after the implementation of the new policy buy a house without taking out a loan, the transaction volume of new houses in Beijing increased by 39.2% year-on-year. However, with the concentrated release of the pent-up demand from earlier stages, there are now clear signs of a slowdown in activity in September. A project marketing manager of a central enterprise stated that prices are now 50% lower than their previous peak. However, as the initial excitement subsided, most sales offices reverted to their normal operating hours. Xie Tian remarked, the real estate downturn may lead to more bankruptcies and defaults by real estate companies. The policies such as buy a house without a loan are ineffective, and the housing market may not be salvageable. Wealthy individuals are starting to leave, which could trigger more real estate owners to sell, potentially causing prices to collapse. However, under certain measures implemented by the CCP to restrict price reductions, these wealthy individuals are leaving first and recovering their investments, leaving ordinary people to deal with the consequences. Exclusive, Chinese journalist drops another bombshell. Xi Jinping is brewing a horrible plan. In recent days, international media and global public opinion have focused on events unfolding inside China, which appear to be unfavorable and even dangerous for its leader, Xi Jinping. However, former Chinese media figure Zhao Lanjian, currently living in exile in the United States, has made a startling revelation that contradicts this narrative. Just within a few hours of its release, this breaking news reached 200,000 views. In an exclusive interview with Vision Times, Mr. Zhao mentioned that he stayed up almost the entire night without sleep to ensure the accuracy and precision of this information. He emphasized that he couldn't unilaterally alter the wording provided by his information source, not even a single punctuation mark. These messages have also greatly shocked him. According to the sources obtained by Mr. Zhao, first, Xi Jinping's current position is very stable. Second, Li Shangfu had indeed run into trouble and had been arrested. Contrary to widespread suspicions that Zhang Youxia might be the next target of the purge, Zhao Lanjian received internal information stating, both Zhang Xingmin and Zhang Youxia are in very stable positions. In other words, Xi Jinping and his military deliberately leaked information to overseas news media, creating a smokescreen. This smokescreen is intended to distract military experts from various countries, making it impossible for them to focus on studying China's true military intentions. The source also confirmed that the Rocket Force and Equipment Department had indeed undergone a purge, with a number of military officers being removed. This isn't a traditional coup or rebellion. To be precise, it's called a purge or the removal of unreliable individuals, in order to effectively implement the next phase of military plans. The former media figure added, "As for the nature of this move, I don't know yet, and the person who provided me with the information doesn't know either because he isn't one of the core strategists behind these actions." However, he emphasized 2 points to me. First, the unusual nature of this situation, it's a strange move. Second, this move will require the support and close cooperation of Russia's Vladimir Putin. None of these points have been discerned by the news media and the military research community so far. This also highlights the scarcity and importance of the military intelligence information I've obtained. I believe that once this information is disseminated and discussed, it will trigger significant news effects and may even have practical implications for various military nations. Regarding Putin's involvement in Xi Jinping's plan, Zhao Lanjian further elaborated, there is already Russian involvement, and it is a close involvement, possibly even a jointly formulated plan and its future execution. Notably, regarding the claim made by Keizo Takemi, a contributor to Nikkei Asia, on September 21 that Xi Jinping was criticized by senior Chinese Communist Party figures at the Beijing conference this summer due to issues with the national direction, Zhao Lanjian explicitly stated that it was false information. He mentioned that hostile factions, including Xing Qinghong, were attempting to balance Xi Jinping internally, even challenging him. This information has been completely denied within my information channels. There is no such possibility. However, it has been presented as legitimate news by overseas media. Xi Jinping is planning a war larger than unrestricted warfare. Mr. Zhao suggests that Xi Jinping's recent removal of high-ranking officials from the Rocket Force signifies that the Rocket Force will play a significant role in future major plans. Unrestricted warfare won't involve the Rocket Force. Clearly, unrestricted warfare can't be directly combined with the Rocket Force. There might be some strategic coordination, but it's hard to imagine how rockets and viruses can be bundled together. Recently, Chinese virologist Shi Zhengli issued a warning, stating that another global COVID-19 pandemic is highly likely. Furthermore, she published a paper in which she pointed out that after assessing the risks of 40 coronaviruses infecting humans, at least 20 of them are classified as high risk. In response to this, Mr. Zhao predicted that there could be simultaneous deployment of two modes of warfare, using the power of the rocket force on one hand, and possibly implementing biological warfare or virus warfare on the other. A warning to the Chinese people. Although Zhao Lanjian is in exile in the United States, his heart remains connected to his homeland. He offers a sincere piece of advice to his fellow countrymen, urging them to prepare for the impending ruthless war. Zhao gravely emphasizes, based on the information I currently possess and considering the complex and convoluted information emerging worldwide, we can conclude that China has entered a unique period in its history. Here, I extend my best wishes to everyone in this special historical era, and I implore each individual to safeguard their lives and possessions. We are all but insignificant beings in this vast historical epoch, especially in a society like China's, where human lives can often be undervalued. Can you imagine the harrowing events of the past, where it took decades to uncover the truth about those who perished? Take, for example, the recent revelation of the Shanxi mine disaster, concealed for 38 years, the catastrophic floods in Hunan claiming numerous lives, the victims of the 3-year Great Famine, and those who lost their lives during various political movements like the Cultural Revolution. I believe that in the years to come, China may witness such events. Mr. Zhao concludes, so we can only promote the healthy development of society, but China does not have a healthy political system. What can we do? We can spread this effective news to every person around us who will face death and survival threats. Tell them that there are some such free speech outside the wall, which can provide them with reference for life and life choices. Regarding the level of accuracy of the information, Mr. Zhao rejected online claims that compared him to a bedside listener in Zongnanhai. He clarified that he has never actively sought military-related information and is not a military enthusiast or expert. His areas of focus have been centered on issues related to suffering children and the environment. 20 years ago, he had contact with some high-level national leaders, and he continues to maintain relationships with friends like them. Many of Zhao's friends have backgrounds in the military, work in various government ministries, and even in defense industries. They are willing to share their information or observations about Xi Jinping through his communication channel because they all belong to the Red Second Generation. Zhao stated that his actions have left a positive impression on these principled friends in influential positions, which is why they willingly provide information to him. American experts, CCP's Megalomania attempts to rewrite the Bible to replace God. James Gorey, a U.S. political and economic expert and author of The China Crisis, claimed in a September 27 article in the Epoch Times that the Chinese